Welcome to the Half in the Bag Disc Golf Podcast, streaming to you as part of the Joe's Disc Golf Podcast Network. And here are your hosts, Ben, Joe, and RJ.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Half in the Bag Disc Golf Podcast. My name is RJ. I'm coming to you from Northeast Indiana, and today I am drinking water because if you follow my other podcasts, I had a very busy day yesterday and partied just a little too hard. Yes. So water for me in recovery day today. And joining me today is the ever faithful servant of the podcast, Joe.
Sure. Yeah.
Servant, even though you do all the heavy lifting. Yeah, that actually makes sense then.
All the heavy lifting. Yes, I am also drinking water out of my Chicago Bears NFC 2006 championship mug. Pulling this one out from way back when, along with my Brian Urlacher jersey. It's the newest player that I have in jersey form. The other one is Walter Payton. So there's that. Reliving the glory days that were long before I was born.
I mean, you were alive during 2006.
Yes, I was talking about Walter Payton.
Yes.
Yeah.
That 06 season I remember ending up pretty good.
No. I wish I'd bet on that game, because the odds, if you pick the prop bet and actually put money down for the opening kickoff to be returned, you would have made bank.
Yeah.
Because Devin Hester took that 100 and something odd yards, and then that was the last time we scored.
No, it wasn't.
It felt like it.
That might be. What's funny is
that was bad.
That was Peyton Manning's Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
I didn't think he had that great of a game.
It felt like he did.
Well, it felt like there was a lot more of running and defense in that game than you would probably expect.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
but so there was that, and
I mean, I enjoyed water, that game.
Recovering as well, not from as much drinking. Actually, no drinking. I'm going dry September, so we'll see how this happens. I am 4 days in as of recording, and hopefully 6 days in by the time this podcast gets, uploaded. We'll see.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. So let's, speaking of partying hard, I think there are two people on the Pro Tour circuit that have earned the right to party especially hard after their last week. Do we want to get into...
Is it Paige Pierce, but like a pity party, and she's drinking to forget?
I mean, maybe she planted some stuff so the Lane King can be like, I think there's a...
Oh, my God. The bias in that broadcast from her. Nothing was ever Paige Pierce's fault. Grip locked. She just mistimed that one a little bit. It was never like, ooh, that was a bad shot. When it was very clearly like, ooh, bad shot. And even Paige Pierce they might not have had the audio on her, but you're like, you could read her lips and read her body language like, ooh, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
That did not go how I was hoping it would.
Yes.
Moment.
It's okay for broadcast to say someone had a bad shot when it was very obvious that it was a bad shot.
Yeah.
You worm burn that thing 40 feet down the fairway, and it's like, yeah, that was a bad shot. Now, Paige didn't do that. Somebody else did something. Was it Missy Gannon? She had a misfire, or was it Holland Hanley, where it was just like 200 feet down the fairway, and that was it. It was just a misfire. And they're just like, oh, yeah, that's a bad shot. It's like, yep. everybody knew that was a bad shot.
Quite frankly, I don't know that I could tell you who it was, but yeah it
But either way, yeah.
Yes. So obviously the big thing from the past week or so was the World Championships happening.
Oh, yeah. Over in Emporia.
Yes.
No lack of bitching about the courses either.
What? No.
On Reddit.
No one would ever do that.
Nope. And you are... how is it phrased? Basically, if you say, well, if you have a problem with the courses, get some people together and, you host, here are the requirements. And everybody's like, well, you're just against criticism. Like, no, I'm offering a valid solution. Like, here's the thing.
What's that old thing?
Nobody puts in bids. I think it was for Worlds for this year or for next year. Basically, like, there was one bid. So PDGA is like, well, I guess we give it to you.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one. So that's my suggestion. There's all these courses that everybody say are so amazing. Put a bid together. See what happens.
Yep.
It takes a lot of work to put on a Pro Tour stop, let alone a major.
Yeah.
Plus they gave out their purse was like $200,000 or was it $250,000? It was crazy.
Question. But what's that old saying? Complainers are obligated to volunteer?
Yep.
So, I mean, to a certain extent, it's if you don't like it, do it better.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I think is exactly what you were saying there. So,
yeah.
I will say though, I
do miss some variety. Like,
yeah,
both courses were pretty open, lack of woods, and I can get that, but it's middle of Kansas, so
yeah.
Well, I mean,
so, yeah. What are you going to do? Artificially plant trees? Put up the world's densest set of mozzarella sticks?
Yes, I agree with that one. And I thought they used the land the best they could. I liked it. I like seeing what the pros could do when it wasn't tornado conditions.
Yeah.
DDO was a little rough.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But yeah, big congratulations to Kristen Tatar and first time she's got a 1X, and Paul Macbeth needs to grow another finger to get that 6 on there.
I mean, he could just put up something else, but we'll keep
another
it family
finger.
Friendly. Yes. Yeah, he's going to have to, they just released all those special edition, the 5X claw mark.
Yep.
I think it was the Lunas. And now they're going to have to re-release them because he went and messed it up for him.
I don't think they'll have a problem selling through all of those.
Yeah, I suspect not.
I have a feeling those will go on the collector's market pretty quick. The 5X that came out right before Worlds.
Yeah. The 5X right before he won his 6th.
Yep. So Ben, former host of this, bought one of those, I think it was one, probably more than one, unless there was a limit of one, of the Kristen Tatar Wolf Stamp 1X Grace. That stamp looks awesome. I
mean, that stamp is... In and of itself is nice.
Yes, with or without the World Championship, that stamp is cool, and now it's even better because it's got the 1X.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that I actually cannot buy those at this point.
Probably not.
I would be willing to bet that they have sold those out.
Let's see. It is 8:30 p.m. Sunday night. And I'm going to guess they've been sold out for about 23 hours.
No, actually,
Really?
I can still order.
Okay. Is this pre-order?
Yes, it's pre-order.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
It says that they'll go out by basically the end of the week. So
I have $40 in DD gift cards. Thanks, Trilogy
Yeah.
Challenge.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you end up winning your division? I never
did.
saw results from that.
So I did. Apparently, the guy I played against. So this is a flex start. So
Yeah.
we'll just go from there. He messaged me and told me what he shot, and I was like, "What's par?" And he goes, "It's par is this?" Because he said he shot 8 down.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "I shot this many strokes. I don't know what's par." And he told me, and I was like, "Oh, well then I shot a 9 down." And he goes, "Oh, you got me by a stroke."
You rude. Just rude.
I know. And then he messaged me a little bit later and he goes, "So I let my kid be in charge of my card and he added math wrong and we both shot 9 down." I was like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you. Wrong score. There's a stroke." Just joking with him. Like we just
Right, yeah.
razzing each other. And I was like,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Well, this wasn't sanctioned." So I said, "Yeah, but whatever." So I have my win, my very first ever tournament win with the
There you
Trilogy Challenge discs, which were something. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. Do we want to talk about that? Jump to that and jump back to Worlds, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So you and I played in a Trilogy Challenge, I guess
Yep.
it was a week ago now.
Yep.
So that was it was interesting. I was very nervous playing on this course because it is the course that I shot one of my worst tournament rounds ever on just like a month earlier in a flex start.
Yep.
And it has a fair amount of water, so that made me nervous. That said, they played with the course enough so that you weren't really in that much danger of ending up in the water.
No,
for the most part.
there are a couple holes where there was water carry, or you rode along the pond for long enough where it's like, so they shortened those up with some temporary tees. And then they worked it out with a few of the other ones where it wasn't too bad. Like, I felt like it was a fairly fair course for a Trilogy Challenge.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just, so let's talk about, obviously, Trilogy Challenge comes with 3 discs, one from Latitude, one from West Side, and one from DD.
Yep.
So this year, the driver was the Saint Pro by Latitude.
Yeah.
And
what? The mid-range was the Tarsus
by West Side.
From West Side, and then the newly released Agent from Dynamic Discs.
So obviously the Agent is a non-beaded putter, so it's not going to end up in your bag as a putting putter anytime soon. But what were your thoughts on that one?
I ended up liking that one more than I thought. So non-beaded putter, not going to, like you said, not putting with it. The whole time, that whole tournament, like holding onto that putter, it just felt weird. And I feel once you get to a certain point in skill level with putting, like you can putt with a lot of things, but it's just that feel, that comfort factor. If it was a beaded putter, I think I would have putted even better, regardless of stability. But as a throwing putter, I was shocked at how torque resistant that thing was. I was able to really put some power on it with my backhand, and it didn't want to turn over. It didn't want to flip over and, turn and burn, basically. Now, I couldn't forehand it. that was really hard. And I didn't even bother. So what were your thoughts with like being a slightly slower arm?
Yeah, I mean, the agent for me really didn't, like, there was nothing about it that really made me go, oh, it was a putter. It was like a lot of putters. What I didn't like was that the wind decided that it wanted to pick it up over an elevated basket and
You did have some bad luck.
double the distance of my putt.
Yeah, it was, for the most part, a fairly still or consistent breeze for the day. No real big gusts until you stepped up a couple times for your putt.
Yeah,
I noticed that. And the two other guys we played with noticed that. And I was like, oh, man, bad luck.
It really was. Like, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. It was,
yeah.
So overall, it was fine. I didn't really think there was anything special about it. It's not going to end up in my bag because I like the judges better as putting putters, and I really like the maiden for a forehand thrower. So to me, it's, and I think the comparison that you made was similar to the Berg.
Yeah, it felt like a more stable Berg because all of a sudden, like if you didn't give that enough power, it just fell out of the sky. Like I felt like my 20-foot putts, I had to give it like I was putting from the edge of the circle because a couple times it just dropped and hit the top of the basket, like the top of the cage. And I was a little surprised at that.
I like the Berg better.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just a matter of, it'll end up going, with my other practice putters for practicing my putting. But overall, nothing too special about it in my mind. Now that said, I did like the Tersis. It was, I knew that you really struggled with that one because you felt like it was really understable, which for me actually worked out really well.
You had some good shots.
And for me, it was similar to, I have a Lucid X Moonshine Bounty. And it felt very similar to that for me.
I would agree.
And it was less stable than like a Truth or, a Buzz or something like that. But it was still more stable than a traditional Bounty or, for heaven's sakes, the Patrol. Everything
is more stable than the Patrol.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I really like throwing the Patrol on one specific hole at PFW. And I've come to the conclusion.
Hole dialed.
Well, I can't throw that shot during a tournament.
No,
I get tournament arm.
Yep.
And I burn it.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's not even worth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, as you mentioned, I struggled with the Terses. Looking at the numbers and kind of how it felt, I wanted it to be the Bounty, but it wasn't. It was too stable to be the Bounty because I found myself throwing the Terses on like a Bounty hyzer flip line, and it never flipped up. It stayed hyzer the whole way, which would have been great, except that then I ended up way off target because I was expecting a straight shot, not something finishing left. So I started throwing it similar to my relatively understable EMAC Truth, and that was flipping over. So for me, it just, when you said it was less or similar to your Lucid X Moonshine Bounty.
Moonshine Bounty, yeah.
Yeah, I almost said Mountie. The Mountie. We got
Our
the moose.
Canadian listeners are so So wait, should the Mountie and the Moose and the Grizzly, should
Yeah,
those be the next addition to our disc line?
I think so.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
So I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure the disc out because it sat in that weird spot between my Bounty and Flippy relatively Flippy Emac Truth. And so that one's not making it into my bag for sure. Because every time I thought I figured it out, it didn't do what I expected. And I'm sure if I spent a bunch of time working on it in the field, different story. But I don't feel like I want to because I have two other discs that cover the shot that either way it would go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad disc. It's just not for me.
Yeah, that's
Because if I get it
kind
in
of
like,
how I feel about the Saint Pro.
yeah,
Because
I thought I would like that more than I did.
I didn't dislike it, but for me, it was just, I had a hard time getting a good feel for it.
Same.
I never really felt like I truly understood how to actually throw it to make it do what I wanted it to. Because to a certain extent, I wanted to throw it similar to how I would throw my Escape.
Oh, same. But it wasn't.
No, it just wasn't. It just, I really struggled with finding a good release angle for it. I struggled, it just, for whatever reason, I struggled with that one. And it didn't help that, to a certain extent, my release point was off in probably the back half of the round.
Yeah. The back nine, you kind of struggled a little bit with just timing.
Yeah.
In general, it didn't matter which disc.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little off for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't know what that was about, but it did not go well for me from that perspective.
And I would say that my complaints are basically the same. I just couldn't figure out the right release angle for it. Every time I tried to throw it, I was like, okay, it's my Escape that's been in my bag forever. Nope, more stable than that. Okay, it's my relatively new Escape, that red one, which is not that new, but it's also not really been that thrown. It wasn't quite that either. It was this weird,
like
every
in
time
between.
Yeah,
I couldn't get to hyzer flip like I would with like a Vandal or my Lucid Air Escape. But if I tried to put it on Annie line, I was burning it. If I tried to throw it on an Annie line like I would with an Escape or a Musket, I was just burning it, and it just...
Yeah, every time I tried to throw it, I even tried to throw hyzer flips, like my full power Vandal hyzer flip, which will, I throw that thing like, practically facing the ground, and it flips up to flat. And like I was flipping this thing over, and it was just a mess. I could not figure that disc out. I think the only time I got a good shot off with it was that CTP.
Oh yeah.
Where I threw it on a hyzer angle forehand, but I threw it as if I was throwing, say, like my Emac Truth. So like a very touch soft shot, and I was 6 feet long at the pin, like dead in line. I was mad about that one because if I don't hit the Guardian Tree, if I don't hit the Guardian Tree, I'm probably taking that CTP from you. And then I roll like 20 feet away. And that was the only other thing that could have happened with you, is that it could have ended up rolling down just because the backhand. Because I came in on that hyzer and just like basically spiked it. Yeah. But that was probably the only one where I was like, this is a good shot. And it took me until like hole 7, 8 to realize
that was hole 7.
I should just throw the putter.
Yeah.
Especially so one of the holes, what is that hole? Like, hole where you're thrown over the creek. You laid up for that one. Isn't that one like 220, 30 feet? Like,
yeah, something like that.
but the pin is pretty close to the creek.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you throw it 210, you're in the creek.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's why I laid up on that one, because I'm like, I don't know these discs well enough to actually go for this.
Yeah.
If I had my bag, I would have gone for it all day, but I'm like, I don't want to end up in the creek and taking a dumb stroke. Well, I still end up taking a bogey, so I'm like, I should have just gone for it.
I ended up, so I think that was after I lost the box, and I was not first on the box, and I was like, okay, I've played this hole a couple times. I usually take my throwing judge, throw a big old spike hyzer out over the road. Well, towards the road, not over the road.
I forgot.
Like, there's a sidewalk.
How badly you messed this one up.
There's a sidewalk, and then the street, and it's a neighborhood street. So if it ends up in the street, whatever, no big deal. No one's gonna run over it because we didn't see any cars at all. So normally I throw a big old spike hyzer and end up somewhat close. I grip lock the bejesus out of this thing and throw it halfway out over the street. I probably threw it to the right over the street as far as it went. It was supposed to go straight. So this is like a 400-foot shot, basically. Maybe not 400 feet.
You took the Simon line.
Maybe not 400 feet, but that was
hard.
That was well over 350 for sure, accounting for the big old arc. Mm-hmm. What benefited me was also the pin was like 20 feet lower than the tee. But this thing goes like halfway out over the street, and I'm just sitting there just looking at this, and I hear the two guys behind me that don't know me. They don't know either of us. We were just randomly thrown together.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, I wish I could throw a putter like that. And I'm just sitting there going, please come in bounds. Please come in bounds. Please, please, please. Because was it blend or was it prime?
Oh, I think it might have been prime. Yeah.
I was like, okay, if it goes in the street, no big deal. But if it goes in the street, it's getting the crap kicked out of it because this is base plastic.
You're going to be putting with literally anything else the rest of the day. Oh, man.
Fortunately, the wind was blowing just the right way, and it carried it, and I ended up going like 15 feet, 20 feet long of the pin, but inbounds.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is going on here? They're just like, I wish I could throw a putter like that. And I was like, I wish I could do that on purpose. I didn't say anything to them. I was like, yeah, I'm awesome.
Yes. Yeah. I remember you looking at me afterwards and being like, I got so lucky.
Yep. And you're just like, I know.
Yeah. You would never intentionally take the Simon line on a wide open hole.
Definitely not. Not if I can help it. I don't have that kind of arm, and Simon doesn't really either anymore.
Yeah. But speaking of Simon, let's circle back to Worlds.
Yeah, first non-American winner for Worlds since 2004 or 6.
I believe it was 4.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around there.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think because 06 was the other big stat, if you will, and I don't remember what that one was off the top of my head.
Neither do I, to be completely honest.
Oh, that's going to kind of drive me crazy.
I know they talked about that for quite a while, which, I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm excited that Kristen Tatar won. She's been pretty dominant. Like, if it wasn't for her giving Champions Cup away, let's be real, she lost that more than Paige won it. And I think if you got Paige, alone, she'd admit the same thing. I don't know if she'd ever say that publicly.
Right. Right.
I mean, even when she gave that post-round interview, it was definitely not like she won it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. She felt very much like, okay.
Yeah. I'm the winner because you lost, not because I won, kind of thing.
Yes.
Which, hey, whatever. And then Paige did not win USWDGC, but Kristen Tatar didn't either because she had COVID, I believe. She didn't come over because of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is the first major she's been at since then, and just basically was like, I'm here. Y'all got to beat me.
Yeah, because she wasn't in the European Open either.
No, that was because of
when
her
she was
elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she was taking care of that. I completely forgot that European Open happened.
Yep.
Go me.
So, oh man. So I think before World started, you, me, and Ian talked about, what should we expect the off-course drama to be? And as far as I can tell, the only off-course drama was the Paige Pierce stealing a golf cart or something.
So
Situation that seems like it's a whole much ado about nothing.
It was. So she showed up earlier than what the course was reserved for practice.
Right. And
she found some club employee and was like, hey, can I practice? And this employee was like, yep, here's a cart. Carts are around back. Here's a key. And then somebody else was like, oh, hell no. Karen came running down essentially the fairway, screaming that she was going to call the cops. And at that point, Paige and her caddy, Nate Perkins, just cleaned up their stuff and left. And it was basically like miscommunication. Supposedly, she was asking if she could become get a membership to practice because it was Monday is members only. Yeah. And then something about, or rent out the whole course.
Her wealth or something.
Yeah. There was secondhand accounts saying that she was acting entitled and throwing her money around kind of thing, which I don't know. That could have also just been
that's going to be open
phrasing
to interpretation to every single person.
Yeah, that could have been she could have basically hey, how much is it to rent? I'll rent the course out. And they take that the whole wrong way. Or she could have been like, do you know how much money I have? I'm going to rent this whole place out,
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
No. I told you already, no. Leave me alone. Yeah. So I'm giving both sides the benefit of the doubt on that one. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't be surprised if, this lady was screaming she's going to call the cops running down the fairway. So I can't imagine a calm conversation would come out of that. Yeah,
that doesn't seem very likely, but maybe that's my misconception. But
yeah, so I don't know, and basically nothing after that happened.
Yeah. Well, shocking. Nothing that we know of has happened.
Has surfaced, yeah. We didn't find out till a couple days later with Kristen Tatar.
So I guess we'll see if anything shakes out here in the next few days. But honestly, it seems like it went pretty smooth. So
yeah.
Hey, all right, I'll take it.
Who is it? Doug Bierkes runs a good tournament. He was the guy in charge. He was in charge of DDO, and both of those ran smooth. I mean, DDO, you can't do anything about the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, here, let's put Kansas in a weather dome. And
honestly, what they need to do is just move DDO from spring to summer. Sometime where it's not constant wind. I mean, we even noticed that here in Indiana in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
You go out and play Shove Park, which I'd say is comparable to Jones, where there's some trees, but it's mostly open.
Yeah.
And even then, you're just like, oh, cool. It's only a 20-mile-an-hour wind today. That's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And the worst part is you just always takes it at the very beginning of the round.
Yes. And it's never according during a gust.
The front nine is never terrible, I feel like, in the wind. It's the back nine the wind is so bad on.
Yep.
And of course, the later in the day you get in spring in Indiana, it
gets windier and windier.
So it'll tell you, oh yeah, it was only like a 3 mile an hour wind today. I'm just sitting there going, no, my putt literally blew,
What are you drinking? I want some, because apparently it's good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Speaking of UDisc, side note, for all of you Garmin watch owners, there's a new app that you can get in on the beta testing. So basically it's like the Apple Watch app for UDisc, but Garmin watches. And 40 different watches are supported, including the Vivo Active series, starting with the Series 4. You want to know which one this is? Series 3.
Series 3?
Yep. I got so excited, and then I tried to get the app, and then I was like, why can't I find this? Oh, maybe I have to use their link because it's a beta. Oh, my watch isn't supported. Thanks.
Naturally.
Yes. So time to spend $250 on a new watch.
That seems
logical.
Unnecessary.
Yes. Well, I want to use this free app.
Yeah.
No,
the thing that I'm playing around a little bit because of the you know, the what on earth is going on here? Okay,
I don't know.
I'm gonna back out of that. But there's the new win probability thing on UDisc.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, it's neat.
What does that say?
Kristen Tatar had a pretty good chance of winning.
Yes, that one. I did see vague talks about that.
Yeah. Which, okay.
She had like an 80% chance of winning to start before the tournament even started, I think.
Yeah, it was
something ridiculous.
At the very start of the tournament, she was at 61% chance of winning.
Yeah,
like
which
before
was still,
she even threw a shot.
What was like Paige at? It wasn't even that close.
It doesn't. Oh, it might say. I don't know.
I remember hearing something about that and just kind of like, huh, that's interesting.
Oh my gosh, where did Paige finish?
Top 10?
Oh, tied 5th. I just went right past it. That was dumb. So, at the beginning, Paige had a 13% chance to win.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Evelina, and I'll throw Kat in here for good measure.
It won't let me look at like pre.
Yeah.
It just says that Kristen Tatar has a 100% chance of winning after she already won.
Correct.
Wow, I like these.
Yeah. No, the Paige had a 13% chance of winning, Katrina a 12%, Evelina 3%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just going into it, that much of a favorite. However, it seems to have played out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no kidding.
I can't wait. I mean, this is the first time I saw it. I want to see this for the next couple tournaments to see how this really did they get lucky? Did they happen to get lucky, and barring injury or some kind of tournament getting cut short, this could be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's neat to play around with and just be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, what's the next tournament coming up? I forget.
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I should know these things. I have a podcast of talking about this crap.
Yes.
Schedule. How about I go there?
Yeah. So really quickly, let's talk Paul Macbeth here. Obviously getting his 6th Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Twitter was freaking out in the first couple days about Paul Macbeth is doing something weird and blah, 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 blah. Like, you would have thought that he was gonna lose by 100.
Well, I will say I was able to catch because of work. You know, I got to do that unless everybody out there starts putting together a salary for me to cover disc golf full time. And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. As you and Mark have said on your podcast, that'd be great if it happens, but not going to count on it.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of the MPO, but again, like I said, work got in the way. So
That darn work.
I only was able to see the first couple holes of the first round of the MPO, and there, with Paul Macbeth, the body language was not good.
Yeah.
Just looking at it from that perspective, you could tell something wasn't right that he thought wasn't right because things were just not going well.
Yeah.
In terms of Paul Macbeth.
Yeah.
I wish I could have a bad day like him where it's like, oh, God, I'm so terrible. I'm still in the hunt for a world title. And I'm sitting there going, on my best days, I couldn't dream. Like my best day against his worst day. And he'd still beat me with a Luna only.
On your home course.
Yeah. Let's go to Tillman and see what happens. And I would just cry.
Yeah. Yeah. But so did we ever figure out what the deal was with that? Or was it just
he said
something was up? And
he has said a couple times during interviews during this tournament that his putt felt off. Something about his putter just not feeling great until that last round. And I guess if there's a time for it to feel great, the final round.
The last round of Worlds is the time to do it.
Yeah, he just said that he was tweaking it and he still didn't feel comfortable even that last round, but I guess it felt good enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I wish my putt could feel off and I could go out and win a world championship.
Yeah, no kidding. Speaking of putting, Evelina did pretty good up until the final round. When I was watching that, she had a shot. It was a long shot to catch Kristen. She was like 5 or 6 strokes out. So not unlikely, but not, like
not impossible, but
yeah, long shot.
Right.
And she was doing all right. And then as she kind of got a little bit of momentum, suddenly her putt just fell off. And it's got to be those yips. That's because when she wasn't thinking about it or didn't realize how well she was doing, or I don't know what, her putt looked fine. Obviously, room for improvement, but still, for her, I mean, instead of shooting in the 20s, she was like 50, 60%, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially Emporia Country Club, that's a course designed for her. Big bomber, just get it up there.
Yeah.
And that putt just couldn't quite drop. Evelina Salonen did really well. But I kind of expected that. Or Hannah Blumers, sorry.
Yeah. She did well. She finished second.
Yep.
Only 8 strokes off the pace.
I know. Kristen Tatar, this is another level.
So let me ask you something.
Yep.
Right now, as of today.
Yep.
Would you rather bet on Kristen to win any given tournament, Paige to win any given tournament, or the rest of the FPO field to win any given tournament?
I'm going to have to choose Mike Ditka. Oh, at the way things are going, Kristen Tatar's worst finish in terms of Elite Series, and that's just all the stuff over here. Her worst finish, 3rd place ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my money on her. Like,
Yeah.
here's the thing is, like, her off days are still good for 2nd and 3rd place. Paige Pierce, her off days have been out of the top 10 on occasion. Generally speaking, still in the top 10, but she's had a few, like USWDGC did not go well.
No, it didn't.
But that was also a shorter course, relatively speaking. And so it took out all of the distance advantage for people like Evelina, Paige, Katrina, all your big bombers. So that kind of leveled the playing field. It turned into an accuracy contest, which I'm not opposed to that.
Again, for the majors, I would like to see a little bit of a variety of challenges for them.
So, Champions Cup, they announced, I think this was a couple weeks ago now, people were complaining that it was going to be at Toboggan, where they host Discraft Great Lakes Open, just a couple hours north of us. I was excited for that because I was like, I'm getting tickets and I'm getting my ass up there. But the PDGA listened to the complaints and decided that it's a good idea to have Champions Cup at WR Jackson again. And I think the plan is to have that be the home. And just like, that's where that major is. Because right now, everything rotates except USDGC, but that's kind of a major, but it's owned by Innova and run by Innova. And like, it's, not a total fan. And I'm not a fan of that course. Sorry to everybody who is. But I think WR Jackson is a great course. And
that feels...
It's a tough wooded course.
Yeah.
And I think if you get something that's a little more open, have a variety of courses where you could do like WR Jackson, Jones Supreme. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something open, long, and something like that where you've got 2 majors that are, if you could win both of those, you're a well-rounded disc golfer for sure. And then USDGC is just, I mean, it's a hard thing to win. And I think it's okay if Worlds is a rotating major.
Yeah.
Maybe actually get it outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
I know people are talking about getting it out of North America, but I don't know if it's ever been hosted outside of the U.S. So come on, Canada. Come on, Canada.
Yeah. So in that same vein, and I don't think I could be totally wrong here, but I don't know that either of these courses would be appropriate for a, for a major or something like that. But
I was just trying to think of
right. No. What I was going to say was, I think having a nice mix of what we have in Fort Wayne here with Tillman, which is heavily wooded for the most part. There are a couple of more open holes. There's, et cetera, et cetera.
It's a lot.
And then combining
it's a lot of shot shaping.
Right. And then combining that with the seminary.
Yep.
Which is, in my mind, a lot longer.
It is. It is a lot longer.
Yeah. I think having those two kind of, because the seminary isn't heavily wooded for the most part. There's a couple holes that are.
It's kind of like the opposite of Tillman.
Yeah.
Where Tillman is a 19-hole course with 1, 2, 10, 12. Part of 19.
Kind of 14.
Part of 14. Well, no, if you're playing from the blues, it's that water carry to the woods. It's over the pond. So what
Oh,
we
I think
played,
I'm thinking of 13.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking of 13.
Yep. 13 is pretty open. So there's like
Yeah.
6 holes out of your 19 that are open-ish. There's still trees. There's OB on both sides with tournament setup. So you have things that you have to worry about. Where the seminary probably has about 6 holes that are in the woods.
Yeah.
6 out of your 18 that are in the woods.
Yeah.
So that would be...
I mean,
that'd be a nice
I would
mix.
love to see...
I'd
I
love
would
it if
love
we
to
could.
see tournaments going to that style where you have 2 very complementary courses and that one is going to test more of your distance, more of getting your landing zones correct, more of, attacking holes with different types of shots.
Yep.
And then the other course will test your shot shaping, your ability to scramble, your ability to do that type of thing.
Yeah, Tillman from the Blues is a very good course. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, and I even think if you wanted to add a third course, which I know that they're going away from, but if you wanted to, doing a gold to
B
position at PFW would be a very reasonable complement to that as well.
And it would be a good if for whatever reason Tillman becomes unplayable. It could be a backup course. It's not as good as Tillman, hence backup course, but it could still offer a decent amount of challenge.
No, for your typical players, it is a better course because it is more forgiving and it is, but you would have the same elements in it.
Yeah. You'd still have your shot shaping and that kind of stuff. It's just a lot harder to lose a disc at PFW for sure.
Yes. I have done it. It is not impossible.
It's harder. It's not impossible, especially in fall. Leaves come down.
Oh yeah.
You might lose them for a little while, but that would be fun. I wish we could host something bigger here. If I had more free time, I'd love to put together.
I think this brings us back to the whole complainers are obligated to volunteer.
I know.
So I think that we are now obligated to volunteer.
I think so. I would love to try to put in a bid for a silver series.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that would very much be doable.
I think the hard part would be getting the seminary on board, since it's technically private property.
Yes, I think that could be a little bit difficult.
I think it would have to turn into a 3-round tournament where you go Tillman, Seminary, Tillman. I think you'd have to play Tillman twice.
Yeah.
However you want to break it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say the other alternative would be doing some type of Sweeney Safari, but
that gets hard as well.
That gets dicey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially with it being, a massive flood risk.
Yes. That's why both of those courses are fine for the most part. And the reason Tillman has 19 holes is that certain areas can flood. They don't typically flood unless it gets really bad around here. But if it floods, you could play 10 short and then jump straight over to 12, skip 11, and then you still have 18.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's just the reason that was designed a certain way there.
Yeah,
because if it floods, 10 long is unplayable. 14 is playable if you could get to it, but you can't get there because you have to walk past 10 long.
You mean 11?
Or yeah. Numbers are hard,
right.
Okay?
Yeah. No,
they're really hard.
If only you just, could count them, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, et cetera, et cetera.
No, that's too hard. But yeah I know. So look out for Fort Wayne for the Silver Series next year.
Yeah.
I don't know when bids have to be in or if we missed that opportunity
I'm pretty
already.
sure that ship has sailed. And if I'm going to help you be TD for this, I think I'm going to need to get a PDGA number. So
I think if I'm going to TD a Silver Series, I should probably TD a C tier first. Just jump in. What's the worst that could happen?
We can set up a flex start for, earlier in the week, and it'll be great.
Perfect.
Yeah. We could even do a couple. I mean, really make it like the DDO.
Here's the thing Fort Wayne for Silver Series is probably a pretty good location.
Yeah.
Between all the disc golf that we already have, the hotels that we already have.
Yep.
There's a huge community of disc golfers here, and we're not far from major areas that would draw people in.
Yeah.
Indy, Chicago, Detroit, all 2.5-ish hours, give or take. Columbus.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Louisville is a little
kind of far for
a
Silver Series.
Yeah.
The draw for a Silver Series isn't that great unless it happens to be earlier in the year, because more of the pros are trying to just bang out a Silver Series win, get those points.
Yep.
But anyway, I think that about does it.
Yeah, I think so. One quick final question for you.
Uh-oh.
I have a fantasy football draft here in 7 minutes.
Yep.
I have pick number 5.
That's where I was.
Yeah.
Out of how many people?
10.
11.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I was sometimes
middle.
5, sometimes 6.
Yeah. So where should I go with this pick here?
I think Mitchell
obviously
Trubisky's
I'd love to go. It is a 2 quarterback league, so I wouldn't be surprised.
He's not with the Bears, so that might actually be not the worst pick by the time you get back to it.
Yeah.
See, if it's a snake draft, if you're 10-11, I just go with the 2 best quarterbacks that are left at that point.
Yeah. So
that's tough.
We'll see.
2 quarterback leagues are hard.
I can't stand that we do it this way.
Because there's a big drop.
Yeah, there is. But anyway, that's enough fantasy football talk for today.
Cool.
Nobody wants to hear about fantasy football, especially on a disc golf podcast. So.
No, we'll start off half in the bag fantasy football, because that's how I felt like my draft went.
Oh, man. Yikes. So, all right. I think that about does it. Joe, if people want to hear more from you, how can they do that?
Oh, joesdiscgolf.com, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all at Joe's Disc Golf, podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. So there's that. Also at Joe's Disc Golf. And here on Half in the Bag, DG.
Yes. And you can find us on Twitter at Half in the Bag DG, where if the Twitter admin remembers, there will be weekly discs of the week. If people actually submit discs of the week. If not, then
we'll find something. Hey, I've got a championship putter coming in for winning this trilogy challenge.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like, but
it probably looks like a putter.
Yep. That
probably doesn't even have a bead on it.
It's probably just the agent.
Yeah. So,
all right.
That will, I think, do it for this. So, Joe, thank you for everything that you do. Oh, if you are, of course, watching this and want to listen to it, find it wherever you get your major podcasts. If you're listening to this and want to watch it, go ahead and find it on Joe's YouTube channel, YouTube/Joe's Disc Golf.
Sweet.
And I think that does it all.
Yep.
For the final time now. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And Joe, thanks for everything you do for the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Yes. Listeners and viewers, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to our ramblings. And we hope you have a great week and enjoy your rounds. Bye.
Later.